What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Singlish Podcast. It is your girl Kelsey here, and with me today, I have a friend of mine here who, we're just gonna jump right into today's topic because, yeah, I'm not gonna prep y'all. We're just gonna jump right into it. So I'm gonna allow him to introduce himself, and then we're just gonna go right ahead into the topic. So go ahead.
Yeah, so my name is Lorenzo. Most people call me Zoe or Zoe Gotti. I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And that's pretty much all I want to do for an introduction, to be honest. Let's keep it
Okay.
simple.
All right. We could keep it simple. Um, So, I like to do a little housekeeping. I like to tell you guys how I meet my friends. This particular one, I'm not going to tell you how we met. We met on a social platform. Which one? I'm not going to tell you because that's none of your business. Um, but do you want to tell them exactly what you do, or you just want me to just jump right into it?
So I do multiple things, but for this particular segment, I am what you would call a sex therapist, also known as a sexual reformer. So we help people to have self awareness about themselves when it comes to sex and also the person who they are potentially trying to pursue in that setting.
Okay. So now today's we're gonna talk about obviously sex and intimacy. And I felt like Zoe would be a good person to have this conversation with because not only is he very much versed in this topic, but also he's had his own personal experiences as well with this. And I felt like, some of my male listeners will definitely appreciate having this conversation with a male guest. So that way it's not biased or anything.
Correct.
So we're just going to jump right into it because I got a few questions and I need some answers.
Right.
So, in our big age, we have a lot of questions when it comes to sex and intimacy. And there's a lot of rumors that can easily be spread in relation to this topic. So, my first question, and I'm sure a lot of people's question is, how long should a man last in bed?
I say a minimum of, well, I would say this. First and foremost, it's going to depend on your age. So anyone like from 19 to let's just say 35, that's a big age group. But however, and I'm gonna say that concerning the time I'm gonna, just like just mention, so the time frame should be a minimum of 20 or better. Because I can't like put a like definite time frame a man should last. Every male is, made different, depends on genetics and are they getting rest, they going to the gym, things of that. But just hypothetically speaking, I would say 20 minutes minimum plus. Anyone past 35 to 55, kind of my same gap, but just another bracket. Yeah, it's to be honest, it's gonna go down maybe just 5 minutes. However, it can go past, so it'll be 10 plus. And for the elderly band, like Uncle Charlie, if they decide they want to get it in, safely without them taking Viagra, if they're active, they can probably do about 10 to 15, which a lot of people be surprised about that. However, like I said, if you're going to the gym, have a healthy diet, you are getting the proper rest, and also are you taking any supplements, and this can be for either sex. This is going to definitely help in the bedroom. So for me, I recommend your sea moss, your fruits like papaya, because it has a lot of fiber and some other things in it that'll definitely help you. It's for the gut. So basically that's what I'm getting at. My grandma always told me your life is in your gut. So if you're eating superfoods, that's usually what you go to concerning, keeping that gut alive. And that's pretty much it. Just stay on your fruits, your veggies. I know a lot of people like meat. Particularly, this is why I don't eat a lot of dairy and don't consume a
Hmm.
lot of meat. I do eat meat, but not a lot, and that's for that particular reason. Because my aim is to satisfy my partner, so therefore, I'm making a sacrifice, and you are what you eat. So I make that
Hmm.
sacrifice to, like limit my dairy, limit my meat. so that I can keep my blood flowing and having my health at the optimal health level so I can
Mm.
perform. Because the main thing, women, you guys want to talk about, oh, well, dang, what happened? Don't come yet. It's like a death sentence, and you get tired of hearing it, and like, we're gonna come. Like, what we supposed to do? It take everything in us to not come. But
Right.
I will say this: it's like you pop lock when you try to not calm. It's like your whole body just lock up, like everything in you just lock up. But I will tell men, because I know some men practice retention just for discipline
Mm-hmm.
purposes, to see how long you can withheld before you ejaculate. So that's what the
Mm-hmm.
retention is. It's like it's a mental exercise for men. However, I don't have any problem with that if you feel like that's what worked for you. But I will also mention like taking the cold showers, which helps the blood flow, stay optimal as
Mm.
well. Just even simple like when you get out the shower, or if you feel like, well, I don't want to take a shower yet, but we about to get it in. I just kind of, if depends on how long you got to wait, eat some fruit beforehand. And if you're already taking the sea moss, you got it already. Don't have to go to the store and buy the drugs from the store, the honey packs, the pills, the Red
I
Bull, or you
see.
might complement them on top of each other. The honey pack with the Red Bull. Now, if that's your standby gimmick, then by means, just to do you handle your business, go ahead and knock it out. But let's not rely on that. But what I was fingering to say was, instead of you like locking up, trying to hold yourself, like trying to find a way to like not ejaculate, what you do is you pull out. And I know, like, pull out, yes, because when you do that, it's like you hitting a reset button. You pull out for 15 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds. And if you know your body, you know how 10 to 15 seconds is. You don't have to think about it. And this also help you to stay comfortable in the bedroom. Because most likely then she's still going to come once you go back in because you already reset it. Now you go back in, you can finish stirring it up, do whatever you need to do, handle your business. She'd got off before you, and that's what's the ultimate game. Or she'd got off multiple times before you even came for your first time.
Okay, so I mean that was a lot of good information. And it seems like y'all gonna be getting free game this entire episode, so y'all just buckle up and stay tuned because it's gonna be some good information.
That's good.
Um, but you mentioned, the whole fruits and vegetables conversation, right? Making sure that you eat healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And you also mentioned, you also said you are what you eat. And I really want us to pay attention to that because, for example, us women, we could definitely taste that. Okay. Let me just go ahead and put that disclaimer out there. Um, we can definitely taste that. So,
Mm-hmm.
like he
Same.
mentioned, oh yeah, I'm sure too. I'm very sure too. Um, so I definitely agree with you with that sentiment as far as just making sure you stay on top of your diet and making sure that you're eating things that will not only benefit your optimal body health to make sure that you last however long you decide to last, depend on the person in the bedroom, but just to make it pleasurable for everybody involved because don't nobody want to. Yeah, nah, we don't
Right.
want to do all that. So now we also talked about that part of it. So let me ask the flip side of it when it comes to the whole foreplay conversation.
Okay.
Does like how does that work? Because everybody again is different. So does foreplay make a big difference, or does it depend on again the person, or
I think
like
foreplay makes a big difference
okay, why?
because when you're having foreplay, you open up the woman's portal from a man perspective.
Mm,
This is gonna help you guys expand. So I'm a visionary person. You already know that. So
mm-hmm.
also I want to point out the walls don't get wider. I know as we was men coming up, we was like, "Ooh man, the walls, hey, we busting them down." We're not busting down the walls. The walls staying put. Let's get that straight.
Okay.
What we do is when we do foreplay, we arouse you guys. So the length of the vagina starts off as 5 inches. So that's when we as men we feel, ooh, it's tight, it's nice, it's firm. It ain't loose yet. So we get it loose by doing the foreplay. And that's when the length of the vagina that we're going into the portal that I'm talking about. Now it extends and it opens up. So instead of 5 inches, now it's probably about 10 of 12. And also it depends on a woman's frame too. So if she's skinny, we're gonna have to go deeper. So her portal will go even deeper past 12. It'll feel like 15. For someone
Mm.
who's more plus size, it's still gonna, extend. It's probably gonna be about that 12. And you're not gonna have to go as deep because, like I said, keep in mind the frame of the body.
Okay.
Yes.
So you
I think
said visually. You
yes.
said visually, so I'm a visual person too.
Hmm.
So it's more of horizontal versus vertical.
Correct.
Okay. So I just want to make sure we have that visual in place because, like you said, a lot of people think that, oh, it's going one direction when it's actually going the opposite direction. So I'm glad you definitely pointed that out.
Yes.
That's going to make a difference with a lot of people because it's going to open up their mindset to be like, okay, you doing something for real, but not in the way that you think you're doing it.
Yeah. And this
So,
is why it's good to have these conversations so you
oh,
can know
absolutely.
what you're getting into, because when you have knowledge, not only do you lead yourself better, you lead your
Mm-hmm.
partner better, and you have a
Mm-hmm.
more top tier experience.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Knowledge is
So,
power.
hey, knowledge is definitely power. And as
Yes.
I like to say all the time, I like to have conversations that will inform and educate people on certain things. I've had people tell me, hey, I didn't know this. Good. So just want to make sure
You
that you
good
are
for that?
definitely,
Okay.
broadening your horizons with certain conversations, especially this conversation in our big age. Let's be real. A lot of people are having sex. Okay.
Yes.
For some people, sex is just fun for them. And a lot of people, sex lead to other things like children, you
Yes.
know, but whatever stage of life you are in when it comes to this sex conversation, again, like you said, knowledge is definitely power.
Hmm.
And the more you know, the better you are at
Correct.
being able to do certain things when it comes to this. So we talked about the duration, okay, because again, that's a very controversial question.
Hmm.
We talked about the whole foreplay. Now we've gotten over that. We're now in the heat of it, right? We're in the heat of the sex. Is
Yes.
it possible to know that you're having great sex? And how do you know that you're having great sex?
It's very possible to know that you're having great sex. Simple fact, by just letting your body experience, it would tell your body would let you know, because this is part about having the knowledge. So once a person is knowledgeable with your body and your
Mm-hmm.
mind, this is where the overload comes in. And your body is our bodies are wonderland. So when someone is tapped into a realm with you that you never ever experienced before, even if your last partner was great or your current partner is great. Let's just say this session is totally different. They did something out of the box, whatever they may be. They hit it at a different angle, or they licked it a certain way, or they talked to you a certain way, or they did a combination of all these things. Now we have tapped into a different realm, and now your body is more receiving of the fact of what's actually going on. Because keep in mind, all this is mental.
Mm-hmm.
So not only will you feel it, but you would know it through your thoughts, because our cells, they tell us, they give us information. That's why it goes back to we are we eat. What we eat, it tell our cells what to do. So when we're having sex from a physical and a mental standpoint, it tells our cells what to do. So this is why it's always good to be changing things up in the bedroom. And this is having knowledge, having conversations like this. This puts us in a place where now we can maximize the experience, and we can gradually say that this was a top tier experience. This was great sex. Say it all. I never felt this way before. You did something that I didn't even know that you could do, and I enjoyed it. You really put it down. Like however a person may say.
So I want to just kind of stick a pin in a couple of things that you mentioned. Um, you said that everything is mental, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know for me personally, again, this is outside of the whole sex conversation. Um, you have to be able to challenge me mentally and intellectually, right? And if you're
Yeah.
not able to do that with me, then we're not having any extra conversations, especially in this whole sex realm that we're talking about now.
Hmm.
Um, so I want to make sure, that we kind of touch on that too, as far as like the whole mental part and how much that plays a part into it, and making sure that, the experience is great, not just for you personally, but also for your partner.
Hmm.
Um, so can you touch a little bit on that as far as the whole mental part?
So I would say with this, health is wealth. Our mental health is everything, and mental health month is getting ready to come up soon.
Mm-hmm.
But mental health month, it's not like a month thing like Black History. It's not like a month. This is every day. You make history
Right.
every day. Your
Right.
health is on the line every day. So I said all that to say is loving yourself, knowing your worth, gives you the confidence to be the best version of yourself. So when you're the best version of yourself, you can now come in the bedroom, not only being the best version of yourself, but helping that person being the best version of themselves. Because when people are happy, they more likely have a good time with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they have a little misunderstanding, most likely they're still going to have a great time together. So it's all about, it starts with you. It starts with the individual themselves by making yourself happy. Because when you're happy, you're going to make other people happy. When you're not happy, you're not making nobody else happy. So it's just that simple, to be honest. Like a lot of times we deal with situations and we, overthink them. We make it complicated because we don't, have information, knowledge, and wisdom
Mm-hmm.
and understanding.
All
So, like
right,
I
that
said again,
makes.
having a conversation like this, it really helps you, and that's the whole point of being like, I call myself a sex therapist, but it's sexual reformer, same thing. I just don't get
Mm-hmm.
paid for it. However, my point is like it helps you to express your uniqueness because, like I said, the body is a wonderland. So
Mm-hmm.
tapping into yourself, knowing what you like, will also help you to tell your person what you like because some people come in
Absolutely.
the bedroom having expectations. My person should know how to please me. That is a myth.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go ahead and nip that in, like put that out there. Let's nip that in the bud. And my
Right.
tongue got dry for a second. But yeah, let's nip it in the bud. That's one myth I want to discuss here. Like your person doesn't know how to please you. If you never told them, great. If you go in like myself, most likely, because I said most likely, I'm not just go toot my own horn, but most likely because I have information and I have had several experiences, I would know how to hit some spots right on. I would know how to touch a woman right on. First
Mm-hmm.
time, me, her, or not just because wisdom that I have. Also, I want to say, like, before you get into penetrating somebody for the first time from a male perspective, you really get to know that person, spend time with them, see
Mm-hmm.
what they like and don't like outside the bedroom. Because what a person is like outside the bedroom, it kind of can play a part to how they will react, in the bedroom. So this is where you talk about your kinky set. Like you see somebody who's wild, they just really be spontaneous, like adventurous in the outside world. In the bedroom, they're gonna be just as much. They're probably gonna want to implement some toys, bring a pole, um, belts, chains, all that. I ain't into all that, but before for the sake of this segment, like I want to put that out there, and that's okay. That's embracing yourself. It's a
Right.
beautiful experience. Some people say, "Well, I don't have to do all that to do that to have a good time to have amazing sex." Everybody is different when it comes to that. Sex to
Absolutely.
you might be different to sex to me.
Right.
It's perspective.
So I want to also touch base on this too, that you said, as far as your partner not knowing what it is that you like from what you don't like, right? Everything is a conversation. I
Yes.
always tell I always tell people this. Everything starts with a conversation.
Hmm.
So um I think that's important to
Hmm.
do. It might be a little weird at first, because who wants to do that, right?
Hmm.
Naturally, first instinct. But you know it's always good to talk about these kind of things, because like you said, your partner is not going to know what you like from what you don't like. Your partner is not going to know what you're into, especially if you're talking about the whole toys and polls or whatever. Everybody's experience is literally different, or
Yeah,
everybody's perception of what it should be is different.
correct.
So I definitely want to touch base on that part of it that you mentioned. Like, have a conversation, and it's okay to talk about it. We grown.
That's true.
We need to be able to have these kind of conversations with our partners, so that way we understand exactly what's going on, what should be going on. And I would also too, I might get a little flack for this, but lower your expectations a little bit, because I think that's what kind of messes us up with this conversation too, is that we have such high expectations when it comes to it, that we usually get disappointed when our partner is not meeting those expectations according to what we think they are. So
I'm glad you
um
mentioned that, and that's why I start laughing because porn, for example,
mhm.
$1 billion. I don't know how many billions. My point is, it makes tons of money to give us this false narrative of
Mhm.
what sex should look like. A percentage of it is true, which is the basic, you're having sex. That part is very true. In the certain positions, that is true. But when you're looking at like a woman going to Pound Town for 15, 20 minutes straight, no woman wants Pound Town that long. That's just,
And don't.
I'm just saying, like, it's good, you can beat it up, but that's another thing. When you're having sex, like, it's important. I ain't saying you got to go slow the whole time, but go a pace where you can be learning her body, whether that's slow at first, then you kind of speed it up, where it's slow but
Mhm.
steady, and then kind of bring it back slower. Then you might want to add some Pound Town in it, in the mix of all of that. However, taking like taking your time with it, like listening to the body, knowing what the body needs. Like the vagina, it lets you know how it wants to be pursued, or if it wants some Pound Town action. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, I notice when I'm doing it, like I can tell when my person want me to like start Pound Town, or they need me to slow it down. But there's also knowing the different spots, like corner pocket, G spot, A spot. So, for example, the main two spots that you want to know about is the G spot and the A spot. When you go into the vagina with these two fingers, and two fingers for a reason, these are the ones. When you go in by 2 inches, which is what the fingers are, pretty much 2 inches. You're gonna feel something that feels like a ball. When you grab on it, that's the G spot. You can't mess this up. I'm making it so simple. It's like
Listen,
three
this is
ninety
free
nine
game. Y'all
gems.
better be listening.
It's like 3.99 gems. You can't mess this up. And also, all vaginas are not the same. However, techniques are principles. So you just have to be intentional. But yes,
Transferable skills, huh?
you cling on it. That's the G spot. You go up about another 2 inches, maybe 3 or 4. That's gonna be the A spot. Corner pocket is like if you hitting it from the side, like maybe her corner pocket's the left side, and you'll know. Like if you going to the left, you hitting, ooh, that's my spot. That's that left. Or ooh, you hitting, you doing your thing. Hey, don't stop. Keep going. That's that right. If the right is her spot.
Okay. Like, I promise you, free game. Okay, free. I'm telling you, you cannot beat free 99 anywhere. Okay. Because I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you who paying attention in anatomy class, but that's information that is really good to know, especially when it comes to trying to please your partner. But aside from that, you mentioned the whole length of the vagina, right?
Yes.
Now, another controversial question: does size truly matter?
Yes and no.
Why yes or no?
Because somebody who has a smaller penis could give the woman the time of her life. The old saying is, um, ocean in the motion, or however it go.
The
I think it's,
motion of the ocean.
well, yeah, whatever it is. It's about how you move, and of course you have to have stamina. But it's about techniques. So techniques is real big. Angles with those techniques, that what makes the sex top tier. Not just going in and out. Like you scratching the turntable, like you DJ it. You're not DJing the vagina. Like, it's actually something to be explored. So you need to try different angles. Whether one leg up, one leg off the bed, or you bring them to the edge of the bed, which is my favorite, to be honest, because it just helps anyone to hit the G spot and the A spot better. You can do pretty much all the love making magic, as I heard my uncle say back in the day, my uncle Yo. So basically what that is, you bring the woman to the edge of the bed, you putting the vagina in the perfect position. I call it the victory, because it's just like a woman, like a girl who's chilling. They like, yay. So the vagina is like, yay. You're prompting it to sit in the best position to where you can hit the G spot without even trying. And that what makes it so perfect. And I feel like that's why women say, oh, I'm just gonna lay my legs wide open. Because they know, they telling you, touchdown. I know football season is over with, but it's touchdown. They telling you, come on in, kick the field goal. Easy. And those are clues, because like for a while before I learned this stuff, why she got her legs spread wide open like that? I'm thinking this gonna be harder, but really she was just making it easier for me. She was giving that clue, like, I do this, it's up. It's victory.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm
Okay,
saying is,
so
when you hit the G and A spot, when you have that woman in that position, along with another position or two I mentioned, it helps you to hit the G and A spot on. And also you can do, I got two of them that I like perfectly. Stirring the mac and
mm,
cheese. So when you stir the mac and cheese, you're actually doing that, and you already got it in the firm position, a prompt position. So as you're stirring it, and when you stop for like a couple of seconds, now you putting pressure on the nerves, and they just everywhere. They just tingling. You know how confetti is. You take photos, so you know, psh, confetti is
yeah.
everywhere, and it's excitement. It makes the vagina explode. It makes it go crazy. You seen
Y'all
the eyes.
listen.
You seen the eyes. It makes it go
Hold
crazy.
on. First of all,
If you
first
go
of
back and
all, let
watch it,
me
you'll see.
first of all, wait a second. Everybody be talking about this whole stirring the mac and cheese thing,
It's legit.
and so I hear, so I'm hearing,
That's fair.
but this, listen, for everybody it's different, but the way that they talk about this stirring the mac and cheese thing, it's like the highlight of, it's like the highlight of a man's experience
But you
when they
still
get
have
to
to know what
stir.
you're doing when you stir the mac and cheese. You still got to have, for we as men, you still got to have rhythm. You know, like how Usher was dancing, he did the Marvin Gaye move at the Super Bowl. You
Yeah.
got to be like that. You got to have the moves. You got to know how to move them hips now. So that's why I'm saying hitting that gym, because you're making your hip bone more flexible. So practicing kegs, I know a lot of guys, they have searched that. It just, I think when I googled it the other day, it has gotten a lot of reviews just because it's really an exercise dedicated just for sex. Because that's the only thing people think about when they think about kegs. Because it works the inner pelvic per se, and it works right there in the growing area, whether you doing it from the front different keg position, or you put a dumbbell that you can manage maybe like 10 pounds at the max. I won't do no more than that until you actually have a strong back, a stronger back that can handle more weight. But even then, I'll probably just leave it right there. I won't do no more than that. Or like I said, a 5, and you work on your back. So groin area, inner thigh, lower back, this is going to help for to prevent the pre-ejaculation, because you're building your muscles down there. This is why it's like the keg exercise for men and also women, like, because you guys get to exercise those areas too. It's just really a game changer. I feel like health is, like I said, health is wealth, because it gives you a wealth of knowledge once you know this, how to stay fully stamina with full stamina to be able to make your person have multiple orgasms, speaking from a male perspective.
Hmm.
Because you're going to need
So,
stamina to go in the ocean now.
and will, okay, and will. But
Yeah.
what essentially what I heard is hit the gym and
But also make
pay
sure you're
attention.
eating right too, because you could be hitting the gym and you might not be eating right. So it's like I said,
Mm.
like I said earlier, it's just a combination of everything. Going to the gym, getting the proper rest, eating, also being more intellectual because everything is mental.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're not like having intellectual conversations or reading a book, at least like your internet game could throw you off. And you don't want to like start thinking about baseball, which is an old technique when having sex. It's a guy thing, where like baseball has 9 endings, so you trying to figure out how I'm gonna get to the ninth ending. You do all these little techniques, little mind games to try to not ejaculate early, which is pre-ejaculation. But you don't even have to do that. That's what I'm saying. Like once you have this knowledge that we're talking about today, and you start applying it, it'll be like second nature. You won't have to psych your brain. At times we have to, when we feeling with a challenge, we psych our brain to techniques we think that work, but sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I guarantee you, once you do this, it'll be second nature. When it's second nature, you don't have to think about it. It's like your routine in the morning when you're getting up, going to work. Once you get up, whatever time it is, you're getting up, you're stretching, you're brushing your teeth, you're hitting the shower, you going the same route to work every day, like routine like that. Like even if you was to stop, your brain will remind you the route that you normally go.
Muscle memory.
Yes.
Hmm. I'm telling you, it cannot get any better than this right here. Because, like I said, dropping free gems. But I want to just
So
kind
much.
of
I probably I could charge for a session like this, but I don't because I feel like in any game you give, whether it's this, because I do real estate too. I didn't mention it earlier.
shameless plug.
Yes, I do real estate. I also study fragrance in my spare time, whether that's feminine, masculine, unisex. Today I have on unisex. It's called Cashmere Sex. Um, Apparently we just happen to be talking about it, but I wear my fragrance according to the material I have on, the color, my skin tone, my personality. So I do my research, and that's all I'm saying is like do your research, get the information. It's powerful.
Hmm. Okay, so after that, now I just kind of want to segue into just intimacy, right?
Hmm.
Um, which I think a lot of people know of, but they don't really care to like know about it.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that intimacy part plays a big part in the whole sex conversation, at least the
Hmm.
physical act of it.
Hmm.
So I kind of want us to just kind of touch base on a couple types of intimacy, and then just kind of expound on that if we need to. Um, but I think once we get in that habit of knowing what the different intimacy parts and points is, I think that'll also enhance the experience for a lot of people as well. Um, so the first one that I want us to touch on is the physical intimacy. So it
Hmm.
involves touching, hugging, kissing, holding hands, and many more. So for those of you who are really into the whole love languages conversation, that would be equivalent to the physical touch part of the love languages. Anything you want to mention about physical intimacy before I go on to the next one?
So, physical intimacy for me is definitely, some of the things you mentioned, like, kissing, hugging, taking a step further, cuddling, that's just the next level. Um, Cooking together,
Hmm.
going to an art exhibit, together. Maybe, my partner is into arts. So anything that's her love language that is physical, that can relate to physical, that's
Hmm.
what I'm going to attack because it just go make the love explode. And that's how we want to think when we dealing with a person. This is why I was getting at, like, whatever that person like to do outside of the bedroom, bring it into the, like, outside of the bedroom, bring it into the bedroom. So if a woman like art exhibit, she in the bedroom, paint on each other before you actually like have a sex section. That's part of it. That
Hmm.
would be the intimacy part without the penetration.
Hmm.
Or maybe dressing up like she's the officer and you the criminal, or whatever. Whatever. Because some people like to role play.
Right.
You gotta, do whatever you gotta do to please your partner. So, intimacy can be a lot of things. No, you said physical touch, my bad, but it's intimate. It's a physical intimacy. I had to correct myself because conversation like this, you can really get all over the place. It's so much to discuss.
So you mentioned the whole like painting thing, right, in the bedroom. Like there was I forgot what I was scrolling through on Instagram. Like they actually have events where people can, paint on each other, or couples can paint on each other. Um
I'm thinking about doing it here.
so I think that's something that should be, done, because like you said, if that's something that your partner is into, then it'll definitely add more to the overall experience. Even if you're not doing it in the bedroom per
Yeah,
se.
you can do it outside the
uh,
bedroom in a safe
right.
place. It's therapeutic because
Yeah.
now you're helping this person to get rid of their insecurities, and you are helping them to see a mirror of themselves or who they feel like they should be, but probably couldn't see it before you did the paint session. Because you remind that woman from a male perspective her worth, how beautiful she really is.
Hmm.
So, like for some women, they feel like, oh, my nipples not all that great. But my job, is to make sure. And I know it's saying like I'm just go around just honestly just smashing all these women. No, because that'll make myself not be worthy of many hats that I wear. My reputation is big, so I try to keep a clean profile. However, just because, like I said,
As you
just
should.
knowledge and experience, I just have this. I just have this knowledge about this particular topic that we're talking about, and is passionate to talk about it because I want to help people, be better not only in the bedroom but outside the bedroom because it does start outside the bedroom.
Long story short, y'all, take your girl on a date. That's the end of the conversation.
I bet.
I mean, that's just pretty much what it sounds like. But I digress. But again, yes, pay attention to stuff like that, because it really does make a big difference when it comes to just enhancing again the overall experience of that, not just for you but for your partner as well. One thing I also want to say to that too, before we move on to the next one, is um, individual versus collective, right? If you as an individual, and you said it earlier as well too, if you as the individual is in a good headspace, and like you said, know your worth and know a lot about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
then the collective can be um, in an even better state, especially when it
Yes.
comes to these types of conversations or even acts, like individual first and then the collective after. So I definitely just wanted to touch on that really quickly. um as we segue into the next one, emotional intimacy involves truly seeing someone else and accepting and loving them for who they are. When you have
Yes.
this, you're comfortable sharing with the other person. So going back to what you said about the whole painting thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
um that I think is also a good way to build up emotional intimacy as well.
Yes.
Because once that person, it's almost like you're breaking down all the barriers, right? Because I know, for example, from a woman's perspective, we have a lot of emotional barriers that could hinder us from actually being our best selves in the bedroom, right? And it
Mm-hmm.
could be from childhood trauma
Yes.
or just overall relational trauma experiences
Mm-hmm.
that we've had. Um, so I think that too can also play a very big part, amongst other things as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as far as breaking down that emotional barrier and creating that emotional intimacy when it comes to how you perform
Yes.
in the bedroom.
Yeah, and I want to hit on that in the same topic we're talking about emotional connection. Um, so, for example, your woman from a male perspective, your woman might not be confident. She wants to ride you, but she might not feel as confident. As a male, our job is not only to make you feel confident with doing that, but also making sure that you are in a position to receive what you are doing, knowing that now, even though I am guiding you, we are one in the ship. Like we're one while we're doing this. So it's not like you're just doing this for me. We are doing this for each other. So when you are mounting her on top of you, take your time. Don't just like when she hop on there, because you guys be ready, you excited. It's cool that she want to hop on there, but like be gentle. Just like open the door for me. Just gracefully. Put it on there once. She got to speed up or whatever. The first session might not even be like that, or maybe a minute in or two, 5 minutes in. Now she ready to take off. It's just like riding a bike. Once you got her to start riding that bike, she good. But my point is, take that time. Don't backlash be like, oh, you talking all that smack, you know. Now you can't even do this. I thought you were working with something. No, that's not shame the women in the bedroom. Like if she's willing, and even if she's not, like you don't have to like do that to have a good time. But I did want to mention that because I know a lot of women, they want to do it, but they feel like they might be too big. So don't ever make a woman feel like she fat, even though I know y'all hate the word fat. Like that's just something like it's cutthroat. So our job is to turn it around by not even putting the focus on it, and let's just focus on what we're doing to get the result that we want.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main objective. So that would be the emotional way to handle that. Help her, give her to build her confidence up. Yeah, I ain't saying you got to be lying to her if she still ain't doing it right. But at some point she will, because you're guiding her. You want what's best for you and for her, so she's gonna get it.
And I think that just goes back to just having emotional intelligence, period.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know it's kind of taboo depending on who you're talking to, as far as like the whole I shouldn't have to teach, quote unquote, my girl how to do this, but sometimes you do. And likewise for us women when it comes to
Correct.
certain parts of the conversation, let's call a spade, right?
Right.
Um, but that goes back to what we were saying earlier as far as having those conversations. You're gonna have those moments where you're gonna have to quote unquote teach.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
not
a teachable experience.
mhm, not just again, not just for one, but for the collective in general. So
Yes.
I'm gonna zip through the other ones very quickly because I want to get to the juicy part.
Yeah. Before we
Um,
get to this part, I want to hit on a couple of topics like
go
what
ahead.
we're talking about. So another myth is like, in order for to have great sex, I have to have an orgasm, whether that's male or female. And I'm gonna start off with the female so it can make sense. Like you can have sex, with your person, and she might not get off for whatever reason. That don't mean that the sex wasn't great, because, like I said, the body is a wonderland. It must be tapped in many different ways to be explored. So if she don't get an orgasm in the process, that's okay. But now we have reached a new level of appreciating each other in our bodies, and the experience, the feeling that we get when we have been put in a position to receive such. And same thing for the male now, because like, we'll talk our shit or whatever, after the first one, you be like, man, hey, after that first round, it's up, and usually it is. I know like my first round, I'm usually going 15, 20 minutes. After that, my next time I'm coming, it's probably gonna be about an hour and a half. So, I'm just saying, like I might during the meantime after I came that first time within that hour, I know I'm not coming. I'm not gonna get an orgasm. But I'd have helped my partner tap into some positions, a mindset, and a feeling from me put her in that position to express her body and appreciate what she brings to the room, because we as men, we have to bring that out of you.
That's a fact. That's a whole fact. Ain't a lot.
So you get what I'm saying. So
Oh,
it,
I
it
got you.
works both ways. You don't. My point is, you don't have to have an orgasm to have great sex. But do you want orgasm? Yes, of course you do. But just know, like, you don't have to have one while experiencing each other.
Hmm. I'm telling you, free 99, it does not get any better than this. So we're gonna stick a pin in the intimacy conversation because we already gonna have to do a part two. I already see that coming.
Okay.
So we just gonna get to the juicy part for me, the story drop. Okay, the story time. Okay,
Okay.
you was over here talking earlier about some of the personal experiences that you've had. You don't have to get into too much detail, but was there ever a time where you were able to experience or give an experience rather to someone as it relates to the types of intimacy that we talked about earlier?
Okay. So I will say give. And maybe I might hit on the receipt, but I'm definitely going to talk about time I gave an experience to a woman. Basically, we've been knowing each other for a minute. We decided to hook up. I went to her place. Foreplay was definitely involved. We did our thing or whatever. We getting into it. I'm going in nice and slow like us. I'm handling my business. I'm stirring it up.
You said like Usher.
Yeah, I'm stirring it up. I'm beating it up, and I'm doing the yank now. So the yank is also when you have the woman at the edge of the bed, and your penis is bent. So it's like the penis become like a plunge. It's unclogging the sink. So you hit the G spot and the A spot at the same time. She never had that did before. When I was telling you, after doing that for probably about 5 minutes, she started squirting everywhere. She was like, nobody has never touched me like that. Nobody's never made me do that. And it was just technique. And that's why I said again, technique is everything. So we going on, like we continuing. I done came off the yank. Now I'm back to stirring it up. Out of this now is her third orgasm. So in all, she had 7 orgasms.
Not you was counting.
Yes, because this is the thing. When you're intentional with the, and this is why I'm saying like body posture, angles, techniques, because you're intentional. Now you got time to listen to the body and feel the body. So now you pretty much can count them. And that's why I have my hand like this, because literally you can count them. And also you can see it. Like, y'all start shaking and stuff like that. I seen her start shaking. I
Pause.
thought what her
Why you
legs
gotta
were
do all
gonna do.
that?
I thought what her legs were doing the sugar legs.
First of all, why you gotta point that out talking about the shaking? Like, come on now. Come
And
on.
that's the body experience. That's when you as a woman or any woman is receiving the sensation that has been tapped into a sex realm of satisfaction. Because I'm like, ain't nobody coming to play. We here to have a good time, right? When we own that. Because you don't have to be on it all the time, even though I'm talking some noise. And this is a fun, passion, loving topic. I ain't just out here smashing everybody's daughter, but from the times when I was on there and from research, like, it's up. Like, we here to have a good time. Like, I mark my territory. Like, anybody that comes after me, they ain't gonna be able to do what I do. They might
Talk your
let you
shit.
do your thing, but you're gonna think about me too. I'm gonna be like right there.
Talk your shit. And that's okay. Talk your
Of
shit.
course.
Talk your shit. This is the one time you're gonna be okay to talk your shit when
Right.
it comes to that.
Yeah, but that's what it's about. Serve, and that's why I want to get it like serving that person. My whole aim is when I'm doing that to serve that person from the build up. I know we mentioned foreplay early, but even the mental build up. Like I want to really get to know you. I want to see what you like. What make you laugh, what make you cry, what make you angry, what turns you on, what turns you off, how to make you have an orgasm before I even do it physically. Like maybe I touch you a certain way. Maybe it's a certain like the way how I talk to you, the tone of my voice. Tone is everything. Maybe it's a combination of that. Those things is all part of the build up before you even do the foreplay, before the penetration.
Okay, I know I told you before make it good, but you didn't have to make it that good. So, so while we talk about all this, we always like to give a few takeaways from the conversation. Um, I know I said initially we want to do a part two. If y'all want to hear a part two, please let me know.
Yeah, please let me
Because
know. Like,
again,
drop them
this
comments.
this right here, again, we could just there's so many different ways that we can dissect this. I know this is just probably the tip of the iceberg of this conversation for sure.
I'm
But
ready for part two already. Like, just be
oh,
over here talking to you about it as we getting ready to wrap things up. I'm like, it's so much that we didn't even get a chance to dive into that I'm ready to dive in.
all right, so I guess we're doing a part two. So
Let's get up
so
what they want.
just a couple of takeaways that we usually like to give after each conversation that we have. Um, you know, biggest thing, make sure that you're healthy in all forms of it.
Go get
Whether
tested.
it's
That's
oh,
that's one of my takeaways because safety out of all of this, safety is the number one thing, and this is also coming from a man. Like women would not let you touch them. When I say touch them, you can't even touch their hand until they feel safe with you here. It's
oops.
mental and emotional. And if they talking about you ain't getting none tonight, it's probably because it's a mental and emotional thing. Maybe they were stressed at work or whatever the case, or they just don't feel safe, being with you. Or if they do get it in with you, they're not being freaky with you as you thought they would be. So for a woman, safety is everything. Making her feel loved, honored, trustworthy. She got to feel that you trust her too. It ain't just you trusting her. She got to know that. And how she's going to know that the way how you talk to her, how you allow her into your life in certain situations. It's an even exchange. But like I said, all this got to be done from the jump before you even talk about penetrate. And that's what the real fun is for me. Watching a woman just bloom and just open before she even let her tulips, her flower down there bloom, let them open up. So when it's fun for you from the beginning, the whole thing is gonna be smooth sailing. But you got to start thinking it like anything else in life. Like we have our careers. It took us a lot to get to where you are, where I am. It was a process, right? So what I'm saying is enjoy the process. It's always fun, as long as you make it fun. Learning is fun when you want it to be.
That's true. So those were his takeaways.
Yeah, go
Couple
get
other
tested. And I want to
couple
clarify how. So, for example, if you every each his own, if you have multiple partners, which you shouldn't, because I feel like this is the part of the podcast. Like we're talking about safety, you gotta know this. It's not good for everybody to have access to you because when you are releasing energy, you get energy in return. So let's keep that in mind. It ain't meant for everybody to have you in that way. You don't know what that person's dealing with. You don't know, what they're dealing with. Because a lot of times when people are having sex nowadays, it's a situationship. So nobody, hey, long as you could talk to me and you make me feel like you cool, we'll vibe. Like it's up. We can do it. Tonight or in an hour if you want to. If I just met you on one of these dating apps, or in 3 or 4 days. But the thing is, even if all of that, make sure you got your facts before you act. So get tested every 3 months if you fumbling like that around in the city. Because I get it, you just you want to have a good time. Only thing I'm saying is each his own, just be safe. Because as amazing as this is, you don't want to end your life or end someone else's life because you didn't take time to think safety for you and for other people. And as a man, like that's something we have to do is lead, and especially us because women already try to give us a rap about certain things. Now, if you just got that one person, you can get tested, every 6 months or, once a year. I prefer six, so there's two in a year. You like, well, I ain't actively with nobody. You still should get your blood tested. At least that so you can stay in optimal health. Because when you know what's your blood looking like, your blood type, like you able to have optimal health. So you just stay healthy and be safe. That's my takeaway.
So, last takeaway I want to add to that. Um, have conversations with your partner. Definitely. pay attention to some of the things that they like, some of the things that they don't like, because that can also help you in the area of performance when it comes to that. Um, and again, just have conversations. I'm really big on conversation. Just make sure that you're having conversation, that you're having healthy conversation on top of that, because that's going to make a big difference when it comes to all of this that we're talking about in this sex game. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank Zoe again for coming on here
Welcome.
to do this conversation with me, at least part one of this conversation. Um, like I always say, guys, be singlish and own it, and go be great.